Oh, yo, what is up? Back again. We're going to do a little session review of this morning AM session. I do want to go over a couple trades in PM. Today is an outlier for PM sesh for this scalping model because obviously with FOMC, we're going to have a lot of volatility. So I'll cover some setups that we got in PM session. It did go pretty fucking crazy in PM, I have to say, excuse my language, but the model produced some very nice results in PM. Getting into this, going on the 15-second, that's what I was on this morning, just because throughout the past week, it's proven to be a lot more consistent than on the 30-second time frame, likely due to little range-bound conditions. Price action off open the past week has been a little bit iffy, and since I'm trading within that time frame, I quickly realized that and bumped down. That's all about adapting to what the market presents you with. I'm not dead set on a time frame. If I see something performing better, I'm going to bump down to that, obviously. So getting into the first setup, obviously 8:40, we begin the hunt. We let the market kind of get its footing and then go from there. This whole sell-off right here, nothing entertained me. Getting into this, no swing highs broken that were valid that I liked. Scrolling down, we do have this setup right here. This is a possible toss-up because we do have this open fair value gap right here. But since we're so far down, likely we could just go ahead and deem that as a breakaway gap since it's so far up there. But personally, I didn't take this, but I know some people probably did. But getting into this right here, what do we have right here? This is a zero drawdown trade, although it didn't go to full TP. Would have stopped us at break even after hitting one of our take profits or our break even point. So we broke this swing low right here. We get a fair value gap formed within that swing low that was broken. We get our gone box and we draw our little, or within the fair value gap, we draw our gone box. Obviously, we set our limit at the bottom yellow line. As you can see, that one got tagged to the tick. Our entry point. This is also a toss up. Not sure. Probably some people, if they're trading CFDs, probably would not have filled them right there because of spread. So getting into the next one, this one is invalid because we have a little open fair value gap right down there. There has to be one on the displacement leg. If there's two, no matter the size of it, it's still invalid. There's some very strict rule set. Once you're able to follow it, or back test this, you'll see what I mean by that. So this was the first setup I personally took right here. We displaced above this high, no fair value gaps down here, no equal lows or anything. And we got tagged in right there. Very, very, very minimal drawdown. What is that? 1 point of drawdown. Cannot complain about that. This little yellow line, I had some people message me asking about it. It's a golden pocket. If you didn't know, it's something. It's like right between equilibrium. It's like the little golden zone of a fair value gap I found. The algorithm quite often refers to it. Either we'll get tapped to a tick or a body will close right at that point. But getting into this one ripped up. We went break even, went up 9.5 points, and then just dumped really quick back into this order block. We got stopped out by one tick, and then it just ripped to all of our targets. So that was a little bit unfortunate, but I was not expecting much since we did have FOMC coming into PM session. But yeah, so again, right here, this one would be invalid because we have an open fair value gap right there. And in close proximity, so that's obviously wouldn't be valid. You can see how price reacted off of that. And then another thing I wanted to note that I forgot to cover in my strategy video was that if we have equal lows residing above like a short setup that are in close proximity, completely ignore it. Wait for the next setup because a lot of times they're going to be very, very unprobable. I've seen it maybe work. I could probably count on my hands how many times it's worked. Versus when it's not. So that's something to keep in mind. Obviously, this kind of explains right here, not valid because we have equal highs right above. And there's a couple examples that you'll see what I mean by this. This is the only one. We did have a lot of equal highs and lows being put in the AM session across setup. So a lot of them I didn't take, obviously. But this one was one that did work out, although it would have hit just our break-even point before reversing to stop us out. So this next one right here, this was another one that I took. I only did take 2 trades this morning. I went 2-0. None of them were full W's because volatility wasn't too high this morning. But getting into this one right here, obviously we had this swing high put in right here. No fair value gaps down here, no equal lows or anything. Displaced above it, and we had our fair value gap created within that break of structure. So what do? We get our ground box, draw it out, set our limit at the top yellow line. As you can see, this one did have a little bit of drawdown. We took 2.5 points of heat, which can't complain about that. So this one did run up to 7.75. So our break-even point was right around there. So I actually did not, I don't think I pulled off, or I think that was one, I did manually pull off one at 6 just because of how price action was being in the morning, which is normal. If I'm in 3 cons, I'm going to pull one off at 6, pull one off at 12, and pull one off at 18. It's really just what fits you best, and I found that I like that personally the best. So this next one, it was a little bit of a longer one. We did get caught up in some chop, but it still did come up and hit our break-even point, so we would have been a risk-free trade, of course, obviously. So we repriced off this fair value gap right here, no equal lows present. We displace above this high, and we have a fair value gap created on that displacement leg right there. So we get our ground box. We set our limit at the top yellow line. As you can see, this one did run up, like I said, to 9 points. So risk-free trade. You could either pull one off at 6, depending how many contracts you are in. So right here, this is exact example what I mean by equal lows residing above or below. Right here, obviously, we break this high right here, right? So, but what do we have right below it? We have 2 equal lows put in right there. Not a fan. I sent this into the Discord. I was like, hey, note these equal lows. I'm not entertaining this long at all because I have so much screen time with this model that I've seen this work. Very, like I was saying, I could probably count on my hands how many times this has worked with equal lows residing above or below. So obviously didn't take that one, wasn't valid, didn't fit within the rules. And then over here, nothing presented anything right here that fit. And then getting into the next one right here, like I said, this was another one that was not valid. So right here, obviously we have some equal highs put in right there, right? This one displaces down, breaks this low right here. We have a tiny little fair value gap right there. This one would have worked out. It would have only been a break even before reversing over here, stopping us at break even, then it dumped. And then this next one right here, this one obviously is not valid because we didn't fully close to that. We bottom bodied it right there. No full close. That's not my A+ setup, so I'm not going to take it. And then this next one, this was pretty beautiful. This one didn't go to full. None of them this morning went to full TP or full 18 points because obviously volatility wasn't high this morning because we had FOMC and PM. So can't expect too much like I was saying. So this one obviously right here, no fair value gaps created down here. We displace above this high right here. We set our the fair value gap was within that or overlaying that breaker structure point. So obviously we get our ground box, draw our limit out there, top yellow line, toss the limit in. As you can see, this one dabbles around a little bit and then just rips up to 12.75 points before coming back and stopping us at break even. So this would have hit 2 TPs, and I believe that was the only morning session or the last morning session trade right there. So I'm going to hop over and kind of go over some PM trades right here. So obviously we had FOMC this PM. I was at the barber getting a little fade up, as you can see, cleaned up the lines, you know. So obviously I was not on the charts, but I had a couple people, or Steve in my Discord, he said, hey, I was expecting some high volatility with FOMC being in PM, which is 100% true. Like I was saying, these days where we have FOMC and PM are probably one of the only days I would recommend trading this model in PM session because obviously it's going to take less for the targets to be hit, right? If there's more volatility, like if you compare these TPs and stop losses are the same as what PM or AM session was. You can see the difference in the amount of candles it took to reach those profit targets. So it's pretty obvious right there, like I was saying. Or you could personally go in and kind of toss up. Like sometimes what I'll do to measure volatility is I'll just toss up a risk reward tool and I can kind of gauge. Like if it's like this in PM session, I'll be like, all right, risk on, baby. We're looking for some scalp setups. So obviously this was the first one right here. We displaced above this high right here, and we had our fair value gap created within that break structure point. Would have had only, let's see how many points, 1.25 points to draw down. So very, very precise entries. This one ripped up to all 18 points. The next valid one was right here. Actually, no, this isn't valid. Take that back. Take that back. I was scanning through just a minute ago looking at it, but this one had equal lows right here. So I wouldn't deem this valid very, very high probable like I was going over in the AM session. But the next one would have been it almost reached our 18 points before coming back up to break even. But Obviously, we went 15.5, so we would have had 2 TPs hit right here. We had our break of structure right here with our fair value gap overlaying it, toss the limit in at the bottom yellow line because it's short, and we would have, like I said, smashed 2 TPs right there. So the next one we had right here, we have this fair value gap created. We displaced above this high right here, toss the limit in here. I'm pretty sure this is the one Steve took right here. So obviously on this one, we only took 2 points of heat, and then this one just ripped up to all targets like the first one did. And then getting into the next one, like I was saying, this thing printed in PM session. We broke this swing low right here. Obviously, we had our fair value gap created right there. We tossed our limit in at the bottom yellow line, and our stop just so happened to line up perfectly with that high. So this one did dump to all TPs again, 18. I'm gonna do a quick calculation of how many R this was today. So this was the next setup in PM session right here. Obviously, we displaced above this high, fair value gap right there. This one, like I said, did dabble around a little bit, but it went 9.25 points. So we would have been at least break even or had one con off there. And then the next one right here, we mitigated this fair value gap, repriced off of it, displaced lower, had a swing low right here. We obviously broke that with our fair value gap overlaying it. We get our gone box, labeled the fair value gap out, toss the limit at the bottom yellow line. As you can see, this one just dumped to all 18 points. And I believe that was the last valid PM session setup. I'm going to go over the 30-second real quick. There was very, very, very few 30 seconds. I think there was 1 minute today. I'm pretty sure. I'll just go over and double check. So like I said, 840. Let me mark that out real quick. Obviously, we have 840 right there. Scanning through this. Nothing. So I'm just ring my doorbell. I believe there was one. Yeah. Right here. So we displaced below this low right here. Draw our fair value gap out. Boom. And we would get tagged in right at this bottom yellow line. And this one did run 15.5 points again. So this would have actually stopped us out because this would have came down right here, would have went to all points, so we'd have had 2 TPs hit, and then this came up to break even and then redumped. And I believe, let me scan through some more. I believe that was the last. So obviously this one's invalid right here because why? We have an open fair value gap right below. We didn't reprice off of it before that was created, so I'm obviously going to ignore that. Let's see, right here, this one would have been invalid too because we had some equal highs put in today. So, but yeah. And then we displaced right here. So like I was saying, even though this is invalid, I still kind of want to cover it. Dude, I am recording a video. So scalp short right here. Like I said, even though this is invalid, I still kind of want to cover it. Just kind of ingrain this in y'all's brain. Right there, or actually no, this wouldn't have been valid at all. Sorry, I was just distracted. And I believe that was the last AM one for the 30-second. Yeah, we'll go ahead and go over the 1 minute, I believe. I don't know if there's any 1 minute ones today or not. Like I was saying, you can see by this, just garbage. $840. No. Nothing piquing my interest right here. Yeah, nothing in PM or nothing in AM for the 1 minute as I can actually bang right here. Almost missed that. We have that baby little fair value gap right there. So toss our limit in, scalp short. This one, oh, that's brutal. I was at the gym or heading to the gym during this time. This one went 17.5 points. Ooh, 17.75 actually. So this would have been 1 tick away from our full TP before it reversed. That's pretty brutal. But would have still smashed 2 TPs. So can't complain, me. Cannot complain. And that looks like it was the last valid. So there was only really one setup on the 1 minute. I feel like I'm missing something because I could have swore in AM, maybe that was a 30-second I was looking at because I was bouncing between all 4 just for data reasons, obviously. Yeah, this was after the window. So that looks like to be all. Just a couple things to kind of recap on is if there are equal highs or equal lows residing above or below your entry. So like for example, if you're in a long, if a long scout setup presents and there's equal lows right below, ignore it. Wait for the next opportunity. This thing presents so many opportunities that there's really no need to put risk on when it's unprobable like that. You want to wait. That's something with screen time. If you back test this, you'll be able to identify and ingrain in your mind what the A plus setups are. And then obviously if you're in a short and there's equal highs residing right above, you'd ignore those as well. But that seems to be everything for today. It is December 13th, 2023. But yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next vid.